Alright guys, welcome to the next lesson. So in this lesson we'll be going over the brushes, and I was thinking, so let's just be more practical about this and see if we can sculpt something out of this cube, out of this circle or sphere or whatever you'd want to call it. Alright, so take for example you want to start sculpting, right? And you'd want what you're doing to appear on the other side. So I'll get to why this is behaving like this. All right, but for now let me tell you how you can be symmetrical about your sculpting. So let's say you're sculpting on one side and having to come and sculpt on the other side that will not look the same as the one you sculpted this way is work. So you can see this is different from this. So how do you solve that? So Control Z, I'll come here to strokes, what is that? All right, active symmetry. So I'll set that to active symmetry, and you'll see that whatever I do on this side is turning out fine on the other side. All right, so the shortcut to that is X. So if I press X twice, if I press once, you see it happens there. If I press X twice, you see it happens there. So you're sculpting, right? And it's happening the same thing on the other side, right? So that's what you want to do first. Come to transform active symmetry. So turn it on, set it to X axis, right? Mirror symmetry. So it mirrors what you're doing to the other side. So the next thing we're going to do is to increase the resolution of this sphere. So remember when I started sculpting, you see it started peeling off because there's no much resolution on the sphere. So what we're going to do is dynamesh this sphere. So dynameshing, you find a dynamesh here at the geometries panel. So there are a lot of panels, actually, a whole lot of them. Some of them I have not used before, right? I've used the fiber mesh anyway. So we want to go to the geometry panel and come to dynamesh. So we increase the resolution to about 400 and something, right? So you may increase it on to 500. Be careful not to increase it to over 4000 because it's going to increase the active point. So right now the active point is 24,578, right? Same thing. So if I increase this, let's do a test. If I increase this to like 1000 and press dynamesh, right? You see the system takes time to. So if I press yes, so it increases to 1500 and something. So if I press dynamesh now, come on. So it increases to 3.2 million points. And if you're not careful, it will start dragging in your system. Alright, so my system is a Core i7 3.0 gigahertz, so it's quite fast, right? So you would want to crank that up to that high of a point. So I'll increase mine to about 400 and click on dynamesh, say yes to OK. Make sure dynamesh is active, so hold down Control and draw a max and draw outside, so that just in case it hasn't activated here. So you would see here it has increased from 2000 to 490 something thousand. You can see 496,584 active points. So we have just enough geometry to play with. All right, so don't worry about that. So if I hit smooth, if I hold down shift to smoothen the edges. All right, that's how you smoothen. God, what kind of English is this? That's how you use your smooth brush. Your smooth brush is holding down shift. With any brush that is active, if you hold down shift, it will activate your smooth brush. Like I said, I don't want to go through theories. So as we practice, you know what each and every of this function does. So it's best understood by practice. All right, so it's dynamesh now. All right, so I want to press my X to mirror modify. So let's go back to transform active symmetry X So I don't know why it's not turning. Okay, yeah, it's because of the axis. So if you're facing the same issue that your mirror is mirroring to the wrong direction, right? It's because of the orientation, right? So because the reason why we're having this difficulty is because it's a sphere, so it's difficult to find, you know, the anchor point of this. So if you come here, if you rotate it along the YZ axis, you see it mirrors to the other side. If you rotate it back to the XY axis, so you see it's mirrored to the other side. That's what we would want to do, because it's set here the X, you know, axis. So what you're doing here is to be active the other way. So let's go back to our draw mode, which is by pressing Q. All right, so let's take, for example, we want to create an eye. Somebody I just saw somebody create something that looks like a demon-ish, you know, character. That's really nice, trying to give it eyes and all. So let's go more, let's see how we can use, you know, some of these brushes to, you know, influence our cube. So we're back to clay build-up brush. So there are two ways to it. It's either you sculpt in outside or you sculpt inside. So how do you sculpt inside? So as soon as you start sculpting and you're sculpting outside, you hold down Alt to sculpt the opposite direction. So you've just succeeded in creating an eye socket. So use your smooth brush to smoothen it out. Hold down Shift to smoothen it out. Awesome. So we are creating a character again. So you see that the box, this box-ish kind of, you know, look is disappearing as we smoothen our sphere. So I'm just, remember I talked about the shortcuts. All right, so you have to learn how to use a keyboard shortcut properly. So I'm holding down, so if I want to, you know, I'm holding down Shift and smoothing this out. All right, holding down Shift to smoothen this out. So Alt, if I hit Alt while my left mouse button is still clicked, I'll zoom in and out. So remember that, don't forget that. So we just sculpted an eye socket. So if we want to go a little deeper with your clay build up still active, right, let's reduce our brush size a bit, hold down Alt and sculpt this in a bit. So you see you're creating a more realistic, you know, eye socket. So it's about you seeing what is right and playing with it. So I'm click on my move brush to move this apart a bit, so it's more like you wanting to achieve a perfect circle. All right, so that's an eye for an eye. So you can see we're making progress. Oh shit, sorry for my language. So I mistakenly pressed the wrong thing. So Control Z. So we want to give it a little bit of depth on the top here, like a brow or something. So we'll click on our clay build-up brush. So instead of pressing Alt, so you just go ahead and paint the top of the eyes. So you can, you know, increase it. So I'm holding down Shift to smoothen. Don't forget. So depending on how you want your character to look, so you can come down here. I want my character to have an angry face or something. So I'll rotate it to a particular view that I like. So pull this, can increase your brush size, pull it forward. So this move brush is basically to move, you know, stuff around. All right, just to move your, you know, sculpt stuff around. So you hold down Shift and you smoothen, you know, to smoothen the edges, smoothen some parts. All right, so you see I'm having an angry eyebrow or something. You know, it's just about playing around it. There's no rule. There's no rule to this. All right, there's no rule. Like I said, it's based on what your concept is. All right, it's based on what your concept is. All right, so that's it. So we just created an eye socket. Praise the Lord. Wow. So I would like to see in the next lesson we are going to add the eyeball. So we just succeeded in creating a cartoon character of just a head. All right, so we'll just go ahead to create an eyeball in the next class. So I want to see what you guys come up with. Right, don't be scared. It's step by step. If you fail, try again. The thing about sculpting is that there's a terminology called the valley of the socks. The valley of the socks. It means that whatever you start doing at first, it will suck. It will look stupid. It will be rubbish. So go through the stress of having it be rubbish. It's okay to do rubbish. I want to see the rubbish you do. So imagine this rubbish I just did right now. All right. So I'll just be perfect. So rotate around just to see that you have a perfect, pretty much basic, eye socket. So we won't really go in there because I've not shown you guys or taught you guys the anatomy of the face. All right. So I'll just stay on the basics for now. So this is pretty basic, basic form of, if I want to go more detailed, I'll just reduce my brush size by pressing S. If you want to select just brush, just S. Focal point is 0, or focal point is O, intensity is U. So if you press S, it will just have your brush size active. So I could just increase this dude over here. So you can see it's too harsh, so I want to reduce the intensity of that, of that brush. So I'll just reduce it. I'm just being imaginative. There's no reference image right now. I'm not looking anywhere. I've seen a lot of faces, so I'm just imagining how they would look. All right, so I'll click on my move brush to just increase my brush size, move things about, just play with it. Have fun. It's okay to do rubbish. Okay, remember to use your alt key to select the alternative. So while in my move, I can select an alternative. Oh, nice! I just created a nice socket. So that's not what I want to do anyway. So undo that. So in the next class, I'll show you how to add, a much better eyeball. So, and after that, we'll be done for today. So before we go over, to the next lesson tomorrow. All right. So just play around. Don't try to be perfect. At the same time, try to be as concentrating and attentive to detail as possible. To just don't try to get it right at first. I mean, you don't have to. In fact, if you get it right at first, you're cheating. All right, I'm not cheating. You see me, I'm doing my own from scratch. There's no cheating here. All right, so that's good. So you can see that I only used 2 brushes, the clay builder brush and my move brush. All right, so you can use the 2 brushes. Like I would go recap. So what I did before, I deflated the sphere inward. So by pressing my alt key to sculpt it inside instead of normally I'll sculpt it outside. All right, so I would undo that. Then I went further to use my move brush, increase brush size by pressing S, to move, just to have, pretty much, you can give it any shape you want. You can give it this, the alien, kind of eye sockets, right? Anything, just play around. You don't have to be perfect. All right, so you just play. I mean, it's for you to play with. All right, so I even like the alien stuff anyway. So just play around this thing, have fun. There's no rule to it. So the only rule the only limitation you have is yourself. All right, so just go ahead and play around. So I'll see you in the next class, and we'll talk about the eyeball. Yay! Bye.